All right, moving on. Let's talk some Steelers corners. So Omar Khan the other day confirmed that the Pittsburgh Steelers met with Cam Sutton to discuss, both his fit in Pittsburgh and also just everything that's been going on Pittsburgh Steelers way. Check in on your own, make sure everybody's good. He also said that they might have another option, an undrafted free agent Beanie Bishop, and that because of him, they feel pretty good about where the Pittsburgh Steelers are at slot corner. My mind immediately went, you're going to pass up Cam Sutton for an undrafted guy who has yet to make the roster, but they think in different ways, as we've learned very heavily today, actually. It's been a real Steelers mind is a little different than the rest of us type of podcast here. Your thoughts on Cam Sutton potentially rejoining the Steelers? Does it make sense? And if it doesn't make sense, how in on Beanie Bishop are you?
Yeah, so I think Sutton, from a football perspective, is a little bit of a no-brainer. I mean, it's a guy who knows the system. It's a guy who's been here, a veteran, which I feel like is really valuable in this system, in this defense. I'm a guy that Joey Porter can learn from. I know Joey's really grown up quickly, but still only in his second year, so I think Sutton could be valuable from that perspective. Sutton's legal issues do worry me a little bit, even if, he's cleared in the eyes of, United States law. There's still a process to go through with the NFL that could lead to a suspension and missing some time. I don't think you want that. So I think that gives me a little bit of pause. The football, I mean, I think you just got to wait and see how that plays out before you really make any decisions like that. And I assume you won't have competition from other teams who are itching to sign Cam Sutton until that stuff is resolved as well. So I think you could buy yourself a little bit of time there. Yeah. That said, I'm all in on Beanie Bishop. I'm a big Beanie Bishop guy, man. Like I'm really excited about this guy. And I think Omar Khan is too. I think that is genuine. I think listening to the way that he talked about Bishop, he was pretty surprised that Bishop fell out of the draft and wasn't a drafted guy. He seemed to kind of think, wow, this was not someone we expected to even be in the draft pool. Maybe even if he was a 7th round pick, it doesn't seem like Khan thought he was going to have a shot at bringing this guy into Pittsburgh. So I think that appreciation for him is real. That belief in his potential is real. And I kind of buy into it. I think Bishop is tough. He's physical. He's got some versatility. And of all the, it does make me wonder a little bit how he went undrafted while Ryan Watts, who, I don't know, like it's a good player, but I don't think he was better than Beanie Bishop, No. So I wonder why Bishop fell so far. I'm glad he did, I guess, because the Steelers probably wouldn't have had a chance at him if he did get drafted. They definitely wouldn't have had a chance at him if he had gotten drafted. So I'm in on Bishop. I think it's such a wide open room that you can't count out him starting at all. I mean, you obviously have concerns if you throw in an undrafted rookie out there to start, but of all the undrafted rookies in the world, Bishop is one of those guys that I have as much faith in as anyone that you could have possibly brought in elsewise.
Yeah, I'm a big Beanie Bishop guy. It really worries me to toss an undrafted, just like this early, for your GM to be like, I don't know, man, I feel really good about Beanie Bishop. I'm all for giving guys an opportunity, but I'm really heavily on the Omar Khan BS smokescreen alert here, and I don't know. He's just getting worse and worse, I feel like, with the lies, with the just cover it up. The undrafted guys, you're telling me that the general manager of a football team is like, you want to know who might be our starting guy and who I feel really good about? The guy that we didn't draft, the guy that we chose to draft Ryan Watts over, actually. That's who we feel really good about. Makes me a little skeptical that they actually, I'm not saying they're not high on Beanie Bishop. I'm saying that if after I listened to that, if you asked me, do you think the Steelers are not going to add a corner? I'd say, no, the Steelers are definitely going to add a corner because Omar Khan just tried to cover up his tracks by saying the undrafted guy out of West Virginia is the reason they're not going to sign a corner. And again, I think Beanie Bishop's a stud. I think Beanie Bishop could turn into Mike Hilton. I think Beanie Bishop could be a long-term starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It makes no sense that they drafted a corner before Beanie Bishop. And if I had to guess today, if I put out my 53-man roster projection, Beanie Bishop would be on there before Ryan Watts and possibly guys like Corey Trice. I would guess Beanie Bishop makes the roster before any of those other guys just because I have a lot of hope in Beanie Bishop. Just to bring this to Cam Sutton, I think Cam Sutton makes a ton of sense. And I think that Omar Khan, trying to avoid the situation of Cam Sutton, tried to say, yeah, Beanie Bishops, we're good. We feel really good. Which my alarms went off and said, if I had to guess, Cam Sutton's going to end up in Pittsburgh, and he's probably going to be the starting slot corner. And I think that's the best case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially if Beanie turns out to be something. Like if you could go into the season with Joey, Dante Jackson, and Cam Sutton, with Corey Trice and Beanie Bishop coming off the bench with wherever Ryan Watts ends up, that's a good young, little mix of cornerbacks that I feel pretty good about, strictly NFL wise, like strictly football wise. Everybody's going to talk about their off the field issues with Cam right now. I get it, and I'm trying to avoid all that, but just talking strictly football, that's a pretty good spot to be in. And if I had to guess, the Pittsburgh Steelers are thinking it too. Omar Khan is just really, really bad at, this falls under the same category as like, yeah, James Daniels could play center,
Yeah.
and there's no wide receiver trade in the works, but we are talking to people, but I won't mention that the first time. I think it falls into the same thing.
Yeah. So you said Cam at the slot and Beanie, if it works out, then you got Dante on the outside. Is Cam exclusively a slot, or could you see him maybe bumping outside and maybe like one of those younger guys like Trice or Bishop or someone like that sliding into the middle or the slot?
I don't think Corey Trice could be an inside guy. I think he's exclusively outside. He's a big, lengthy guy. Like I think he's. I just don't think he might be. I don't know. Inside's like a whole
best used outside.
Yeah. Like inside's a whole other position. I feel like you got to be bred to play the inside slot position, and I think Cam Sutton has been. I think he's really good at it. Obviously, that's where Beanie Bishop plays. Corey's more of an outside guy. Darius Rush can be an inside guy. I could see Cam Sutton bouncing out, being an inside and outside guy. I think that's honestly what suits him best, is to play the slot and then bounce out when you need him, when somebody else has to come off the field, and then allow the younger guys to get some reps. But I think that that's the best case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is to line up with that. Just because, you could put Dante Jackson on the inside, but he's got so much speed. Why would you not put him on the outside? Guys, this is a public service announcement, and it is urgent. You think that you have mastered the look in sweatpants and joggers? Well, guess what, my friend? You have not. You are one step away from wearing pajamas in public, and your significant other is starting to think that you look like a slob. It's time to take your sexy ass and put it in some jeans. If you take anything away from today's show, it's that the perfect jean isn't just another pair of stiff, uncomfortable, nut-crushing pants. They have cracked the code on solving your denim difficulties, and it is time to rejoice. Check them out. Always looking good. The Perfect Jean makes great looking, perfect fitting jeans that are as comfortable as sweatpants and more stretchy than a kangaroo's pouch. It's made from a special denim fabric that's super soft, just like sweatpants, just like joggers, but it doesn't make you look like a slob. And the best part, they make 6 fits from skinny to thick. Waist sizes from 26 to 50 and lengths from 26 to 38. So whether you are a thick guy or a short king, or guess what, anything in between, they perfectly fit your body and accentuate your assets. Pun intended. Trust us when we say that these are truly fucking perfect jeans. Once you try them on, you'll never go back. Once again, boom. For a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their first order plus free shipping at theperfectjean.nyc, or just Google The Perfect Jean and use our code ALLSteelers15 for 15% off. Look I have been looking for a while. I have been talking to my fiance daily. I need to find a look. I've tried them all. I tried khakis. I tried joggers. I tried sweatpants. I tried shorts. Nothing fits me like the perfect jeans fit me. The Perfect Jean doesn't just stop there, though. They've revolutionized t-shirts as well. The Perfect Tee has just enough stretch to hide the beer belly while accentuating your arms and chest for that flawless look. It's soft like butter without shrinking in the wash like all your other t-shirts. It's just, perfect. The Perfect Jean always has free shipping, always has free exchanges, and always has free returns. So you can have peace of mind knowing that your order is completely risk-free. It's finally time to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectjean.nyc. Our listeners get 15% off your first order plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use our code AllSteelers15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with promo code AllSteelers15. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please, please, please give us some support and tell them that we sent you. Fuck your khakis and get the perfect gene.
I think I agree with you. I think the Omar silk screen is up a little bit. I think, he wouldn't have talked as highly of Beanie Bishop. I think he is high on Beanie Bishop, but wouldn't have spoken as highly of him if he wasn't approached about the Cam Sutton thing first. I think that's something that he has to kind of wait on for a number of different reasons. I mean, even if there weren't off the field issues, I think that's something that Omar would want to keep under wraps for as long as possible. So I agree with you there, and I think he's like, there's no way they're not, like, even if you have all the faith in the world in Beanie Bishop, I don't think there's a way that they don't sign another cornerback because, look, Dante Jackson, I know they said when they traded for him that they were like, we had an opportunity to go get a good player, so we just traded Deontay Johnson straight up for Dante Jackson. That is not an even trade, and I don't think that's one that Omar Khan makes if it is not his last resort or his only option. So Dante Jackson, love you. I think he got a lot of potential, but I don't think the Steelers are going to walk into next season with you and Joey as their only starting caliber cornerbacks and then rely on a bunch of, I mean, outside of Jackson and Porter Jr., I don't think there's anyone else on the roster who's played in an NFL game before.
Darius Rush, I think, has played in one, maybe two.
Yeah, but he was the vast majority of his career has been sent on the practice squad. Obviously, Corey Trice, not played at all. So there's not enough experience on this team to say, yeah, we're good with Dante Jackson and Joey Porter Jr. And if one of them goes down, then, who cares? Like that is kind of the situation they were in last year. I mean, they not necessarily the same thing, but they had so many guys go down and you saw their depth get really exposed. I can't imagine they go into next season without some extra depth, some extra insurance behind Porter and Jackson and probably one more guy.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think is, I think it's going to be hilarious if when Troy Fautanu's got to fight for a starting job over Dan Moore Jr., but Beanie Bishop is the guy that they're like, you know what? I think he's worth starting. I think we should just toss him in there. Joey Porter Jr. couldn't start over Levi Wallace, but you know what? I think we got to start Beanie Bishop. Like, that's the guy.
Yeah. I was going to say both Broderick Jones and Joey Porter, guys who are surefire starters this year, who were obvious upgrades as soon as they stepped on the field. Those guys had to wait, had to wait their turn, had to prove themselves, had to get up to speed. But the Beanie Bishop, the undrafted free agent, that's the guy that we're going to throw into the fire right away. I mean,
that's it. There's no hiding it. It's Beanie Bishop's the guy. He's just the guy. He would have been their Steelers' first-round pick if they had another one, probably.
Think about slot value, like you're not going to, if no one else is going to take him in the first round, then,
that's what I'm saying. They knew how the board was going to shake out. They said, why would we we're not going to waste the money on that guy. We got to potentially pick up Najee Harris because they were still thinking about Najee Harris' fifth-year option during the draft. They had until May 2nd.
True. And the Brandon Ayuk salary, the new extension contract that you're going to give him after you trade for him, that was all a consideration as well. So there was a lot going on, a lot of financial work that they had to do to.
Ton of it, which is why they're chilling with $18 million still. And, but there's no wide receiver. There's nothing in the works because teams just need $18 million. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. The smoke screens are real. Omar Khan spin them all.
Whenever you have $18 million, the best thing to do is to not spend it.
That's what they say. It's actually it's essentially like, an actual business where it just rolls over and the boss gets like a good, nice bonus check or something. That's Art Rooney's like, dude, why would you spend all of our money on good players? That sounds terrible. We needed a fax machine. So it's the smoke screens are real. Omar Khan's, he's doing a good job. And in a couple of years, I think he's going to be really good at this. But right now, it's year 2 or year 3 or whatever, and he's getting there. I got full faith in Omar, and he's doing a good job. The smoke screens we'll work on.
Honestly, it's pretty helpful because if he says one thing, it's pretty easy to tell when he's trying to misdirect you somewhere to the point where it's like, oh, he wants us to look this place. Like
100%. 100%. Meanwhile, Mike Tomlin is like, he says something, and you're like, I shouldn't believe it, but I want to believe that because it sounded very believable.
Yeah, and then a week later, he's like, "Yeah, I lied to you guys because I like messing with you."
Yep. So as long as Omar doesn't get there, I'm cool. I'm cool with the smoke screens and being real bad at them. So we'll see. But this one, I think a bit of a smoke screen. Definitely think a bit of a smoke screen.